You ever eaten some delicious fried pork cutlet and then wondered if you could take that same delicious fried pork cutlet and make it vegan? Today we're gonna find out. We're gonna make some traditional tonkatsu, but instead of going with pork cutlet, we're gonna go for some tofu. And the way we're gonna bread it's gonna be different. The way we're gonna approach making it, a little bit different. Like there's a couple different things that you do to the tofu, mostly just to get it to dry out and like make it a little bit easier to work with and not just crumble and disintegrate and be sad. And then we're gonna find out, how good can this be? I forgot to record this introduction, so I already know some things that I would do to tweak this in the future. I didn't recipe test this, I just kind of sent it. And so now I know how to improve it, and we'll talk about that a little bit at the end. Really the main thing is just like, how do we get a nice crunchy exterior without an egg wash to adhere to the breading. So anywho, let's get into making some delicious, amazing fried vegan goodness. Let's check it out. So first things first, you're gonna struggle tremendously to get your tofu out of the package like I did. And once you have it open, go ahead and drain as much of the liquid out into the sink or whatever receptacle you'd like as you can. The tofu is gonna be extraordinarily moist to start, and this just won't work for frying. It won't be able to maintain its integrity or really adhere to the breading all that well. So what I like to do is I like to take a paper towel and I use my chef's press to squeeze out as much water as I possibly can. And you'll see just how much of that gets absorbed into Brawny, the quicker picker upper here. Not sponsored, but that'd be cool if Brawny picked this up. And once you've got this drained, take it out of the paper towel, and we're just gonna take a quick look at like how much water is in that tofu. It's ridiculous. And once we have as much water extracted as we possibly can from here, I like to slice the tofu into roughly thirds. And this serves two purposes. One, it's going to allow us to have more breading per slice of tofu rather than trying to bread this entire block. And two, it's going to allow us to more easily remove whatever moisture might be actually left in the tofu. So once you have three nice slices, we're going to go ahead and lay down another paper towel, line these up side by side, and I'm going to do the same thing and use my chef's press to squeeze out as much water as I possibly can. And even after everything we just did, there's still a ton of moisture left in this tofu, and it's just not going to work super well for us. And then you're going to remove the dog hair that gets stuck in your tofu if your apartment's anything like mine. And then for the last moisture removal step, and also for flavor, we're going to salt both sides of the tofu generously with some coarse kosher salt. And this is going to do two things. It's one, just going to flavor and season the tofu, and two, it's going to continue to draw moisture out of the tofu before we get to the breading process. So once we have salt covered both sides, I'm going to go ahead and let these rest under a paper towel for anywhere between an hour and 2 more hours. Now we're going to set up our breading station, and here we're going to have some cashew milk just to maintain the full vegan side. And then we're going to combine some Panko breadcrumbs without the plastic from the lid. And to that, we're going to add a hefty sprinkle of MSG, some chili powder, some garlic powder, and finally, some smoked paprika. Additionally, besides those seasonings, I cracked some fresh black pepper into the mixture, as well as an additional layer of kosher salt. This is going to just allow for, obviously, more flavor, more seasoning to adhere to the breading. I would say I could have been much more generous in my seasoning of this breading on this go-round. Once the tofu is dried out, you can see just a huge difference in how much moisture is left, and also like the structure of the tofu looks very different. It's much easier to handle and is nowhere near as fragile. Then you're going to fill a heavy bottom pot with some canola oil for frying, and set it over medium to medium high heat. You want to get this to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. From here, we're going to dunk our tofu into the cashew milk, and we're going to do the absolute best we can here to get as much breading adhered to the surface of the tofu as we possibly can. No wet spots. We really want to get as much as we can here. And what's challenging about this with the vegan side is not having an egg wash to really coat the tofu, but it is definitely possible. And then you're just going to rinse, wash, and repeat for the remainder of your tofu pieces. Again, making sure that you have no wet spots left and you have as much breading adhered to the tofu as you possibly can. Then, shout outs to Ethan Chabowski, clean as you go. Nobody likes a dumpster fire in their kitchen. And so I'm just going to take a quick second here to wipe down my fry stations or my batter stations so that this isn't waiting for me when I'm sitting down to eat later on. Once we are all cleaned up and ready to rock and roll, and our oil's preheated, we're gonna throw our tofu slices into there. And you can see right away, right, like because of the egg wash, it's hard for the breadcrumbs to adhere to the tofu once it's in the oil. And so that's something I would tweak on the recipe moving forward. You're gonna make sure that you separate the pieces and allow them ample room to fry. And I would say anywhere between 4 to 5 minutes. What we're really shooting for here is a nice crispy brown golden crust. And while this is frying, we're gonna slice up our accoutrement. So we're going to thinly slice some cabbage, and really dealer's choice here as far as thickness. I really like kind of the stringy variety on my cabbage here. And after we slice up our cabbage, we're also going to slice and quarter a lemon for topping as well. The lemon's really key. It helps cut through the richness of the deep fry. It's not as prevalent here with the tofu as it would be with like a traditional pork tonkatsu, but it's still a nice acidic bite, and we can get a close-up shot of the lemon. Gorgeous. Once we have fried for 4 to 5 minutes, and we're starting to get that nice crispy brown golden crust, we're going to set this over a wire rack lined with a paper towel and immediately hit it with a generous sprinkling of flaky salt. From here, we're going to go ahead and start plating. I like to douse my plate with some sliced cabbage, a nice quarter of my sliced lemon, and then we're going to dish out our fried pieces of tofu as well. Now, again, no product placement, no sponsorship. I love Bachan's Japanese barbecue sauce. Bachan is Japanese for grandma, and they do great work. The sauce is gorgeous if you're in a pinch and don't want to make your own. If you do want to make your own, you can check out my okonomiyaki video where I talk about making your own tonkatsu sauce.
And that is how you make some vegan tonkatsu. I think it's really interesting to branch away from this traditional kind of pork dish into something that is entirely vegan and still carries a lot of the same flavor traits and characteristics that you would want out of the traditional tonkatsu. So I cheated, I already took a bite, so we're gonna get in. And the next time, I would come up with a way to replace the egg wash so the breading sticks a little bit better. It's not as crunchy as it could be, but okay. Really good. If you've never tried Bachan's Japanese barbecue sauce, it's killer. Highly recommend. Drying out the tofu is key ahead of time, or else it just disintegrates. It's already not that crispy. But if you want a vegan alternative to one of my favorite foods of all time, which is just traditional pork tonkatsu, this is an amazing stand-in. I think you'll have an amazing time making it, and I can't wait for you to leave this video a like, a comment, let me know what you want to see next, hit that subscribe button, and in the meantime, I love you, thank you for watching, peace.